especially when you can learn the rotation. Like after you've seen a play a few times, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to maybe defend it. But how they're running the ball is they do a pass screen away and they almost kind of block the other defenders to open up the middle for that one person to kind of cut through. So I think that's one of the things that Polaris Prep really needs to be able to lock down, is getting that final step on rotation to not allow the floor to be so open for that individual player.
Inbound pass all the way to the top and into the hands of Udonis Dennis. Dennis playing catch with Rizwan. Down inside. A block at the top from Josh Stevens. And now fighting for it down low results in a foul on Kadar Walton. Another out of bounds play. Sylvan with the leaner, instead pushing off with his right hand results in an offensive foul. So 3 foul calls here before 1 minute played here in the third quarter.
We've noticed that's a big problem with a lot of teams getting into foul trouble earlier on, and it's been almost kind of the same consistency with the 3 players who we've been able to talk to so far. Is everyone's still working out their systems, but due to that, sometimes on defense, it allows you to really find yourself out of position, which is why we're seeing now Bill Carruthers is switching to a zone, which, smart move on the coach, it allows you to kind of sit back more, really get solid in your positioning, but in the same breath as we just saw, you have to be able to close it effectively, otherwise the zone is just ineffective.
Well, Polaris Prep doing a good job of getting the ball around the perimeter in that last 3 from the hands of Isaiah Hins. Now into the front court are the Colts, fighting through contact and getting the bucket to go. Anael Maxwell, the big man working, showing some weight room accessories from the summertime, putting on a couple more LBs, ready to fight down low.
I think this is something we saw obviously from Sandin who we just spoke with. One of the things I truly love about his game as a point guard is when he does a move between the legs, behind the back, he does it to go somewhere. We see a lot of players,
right?
Exactly. We see a lot of players, a lot of point guards, they tend to do the moves, do the behind the back, do the through the legs, and it's nice, but you have to do it with the intention of going somewhere. If you do it stagnantly, it's easier for the defender to kind of read where you're going. You have to do it with a purpose. I think sometimes we can get too complacent on we're just doing it to do it. Do it for a purpose to create an open opportunity. And also, it'll look nicer on a highlight reel, too, if you can kind of do it effectively as well.
Another timeout on the floor, the second of the quarter. 6:15 remaining here in the third quarter. Just had to adjust my numbers here for Bill Carruthers. They're wearing different numbers than what was expected. They've been pretty dominant from the get-go, now ahead by 10. Thanks to Tyson Sylvan, Bieva Cabant, Anael Maxwell, big contributors here for the Colts. Polaris really clawing back in and staying with them here late in the second and early in the third. Jaden Stapleton, a big asset alongside Udonis Dennis and Sahil Rizwan. Shifty guard for the guys in gold. Polaris Prep on the offensive. It will be Udonis Dennis down low. In the corner, swallowed up. Almost a turnover. Rizwan back into the corner. Shooter wide open, feet set. That's off the front of the Iron 2 black jerseys, going for the rebound. And Sydney's going to get us set up with yet another interviewee who joins us here in the broadcast booth. Another shot from the corner, no, turned down. Whipped near side. Arapi, that's long. We've been rotating through the interviews here today. We want to welcome in our latest interview and introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle
Last name?
McFarland.
Gabrielle McFarland. And who are you repping? The Rebels? The Rebel?
Louis Rebel.
Yes, perfect. And how's your weekend going so far?
Pretty good so far.
There's a lot of high-level competition, both the men and the women in here, and we were talking about coming in and trying to prove yourself at a showcase tournament like this, and how do you navigate kind of trying to improve yourself individually, but also focus on what the team needs kind of throughout these types of showcase tournaments?
Probably just trying to get into the right mindset with like before game and in game, just trying to make sure that you're doing what's best for you, making the right decisions, but also what's best for the team.
You're always kind of juggling those two things. And what's the message from coach coming into this weekend? What is going to be the biggest takeaway, do you think, for yourself and the team?
Just to play as hard as you can, go as hard as you can, and do as much as you can without overdoing yourself.
We talked to a lot of players so far, and over the summer, where most people would kind of be taking time off or maybe a little bit of a break, a lot of them have consistently been staying on the court, staying active. Is that a similar story for yourself as well?
Yes, I was doing AAU with A-game, but then on the side, during the week, during summer, when I wasn't working, I was with my trainer and was getting some shots up inside and outside, so it was good.
And is that something, because JJ and I have kind of mentioned it, the schedule once the season starts can be pretty strenuous. There's practice, there's school, everything on top of that, and a lot of you I know do training outside of school training. Is that something that you honestly grown to love and you're excited for the regular season to start, or is that just a mentality you've adopted as you've progressed further and further in your basketball career?
I feel like it definitely makes me more excited because I know that everything I've been working on I can start putting into practice and into game-like situations, so I feel like it really helps me improve my game.
Good. I know you mentioned too with the AAU circuit, and we talked earlier, Sydney, on Lowell and Prep. She said that it honestly added to her game, and we talked about the bench mentality because obviously only 5 people can be on the court at one time. But with the AAU circuit, it's almost like there's a secondary team from the crowd, from the bench, that adds on to the players on the court. Do you believe that playing in that circuit gives you an advantage when you come back and play in tournaments like this?
Absolutely, because you're just getting a different environment and you're playing different positions. Regular season is different than AAU because AAU you're just trying to get the fundamentals and you're trying to up your skills and stuff. So I feel like AAU really helps with that.
Slowly but surely, Polaris Prep continuing to chip away at the lead. Now just 8 points for Bill Crothers, the host team of the tournament. As we see some of the upcoming teams come into the gymnasium. From Ottawa, how was the journey down here?
Wasn't that bad. I mostly slept.
That's a great
Smart,
way
yeah.
to spend
Slept
your
and
time
did homework early.
on a long trip. How do you find juggling kind of the demands of the competitive basketball with school and the social life? Because this is something that Sydney and I never had the chance to do when we were going through high school playing competitive sports. It was 2 or 3 practices a week, a couple tournaments throughout the year. How do you find navigating that?
At first, like last year when I first joined Louis Riel, I found it a little bit difficult just trying to match the pace of everything in school and with basketball. But this year I feel like it's easier to navigate it because I know how to navigate my time and kind of make sure I go to classes and go to extra help when needed.
Polaris Prep back on the press. The shot up from Dennis off the mark and above everybody else was Joshua Stevens ripping that rebound down. We were talking to a couple of the other players, and we brought up, film sessions and stuff like that. Is that something that's kind of on the radar there for you and your squad, kind of watching back some of the games that, do get filmed and talking about the adjustments?
Absolutely. We watch back almost all of our games, and we just kind of look at what we need to improve on and what we did well. So I feel like the film sessions are definitely necessary.
Is that something, what do you find more valuable for your learning? Is it on the court kind of, immediate coaching when you get subbed off, or is it going back and, being away from the emotion of the game and kind of looking at it?
For me, I'm more of a visual learner, so I feel like just getting taken off and kind getting coached off to the side is a little bit easier. Doing both definitely has helped.
A deep three tossed up. That's off the side of the iron. And the Colts able to rebound it. 44-32 now, 2:30 remaining in the third quarter. Shot fake into the paint. A lot of bodies there. The ball finds its way back to the hands of Liam Shaw, who puts the shot up, and that misses. Second chance opportunity for Stevens. He's going to pick up the dribble and cough it up to Dieva Cabant.
A lot of the teams in this tournament haven't really been able to get as many reps in terms of playing a lot of different teams. And again, the season is kind of just starting. So for yourself and your team, have you been able to get maybe a lot of like exhibition games in, or has it more so been practicing and this would be the first time you're really implementing your rotations?
We did have one game last week against a Cégep team in Quebec. So we were able to get in some of the skills that we've been working on and like the plays and stuff. We were able to get that in to play last week.
I'll say that's definitely going to be an added bonus going into this weekend because there's a lot of teams who haven't really had that opportunity. What was something you noticed from the team? Maybe one thing that was a positive or one thing that you looked to kind of work on going into this weekend?
I feel like it was just our connection because of how much we practice. I feel like it was really able to show onto the court of the connections that we have and all the passing that we did. I feel like it was really well shown.
Amazing.
On the topic of practice, can you explain kind of the difference between what a 5-on-5 at practice is like compared to a live game situation? Like, what do you find are the differences? Obviously, you want to go as hard as you can against your team to prepare them for those games, but what's the biggest difference for you?
For me, I feel like the biggest difference is that when you're in practice, the other players the other players on your team, they know the play, so they kind of know what's coming. So you don't really get as many in-game situations. Like you probably will get more backdoor cuts because they know to cheat it. But I feel like in-game you get it more because they don't know the plays, so you're able to run it properly and kind of get more options.
Well, we know you got a game coming up at 1:30 here against the host team, Bill Crothers. Any final thoughts, Sydney?
I think one of the things that I'm very excited to see from yourself and your team this weekend is just how your consistency is going to fall through during going from this preseason tournament to the regular season. Last question I have for you, is there a personal goal that you really want to strive to achieve from yourself this year?
Personally, I think like my main goal is just to be better than I was last year. That's mainly my goal, if anything, and just to be a better teammate than I was last year and just do what I can.
Amazing. And just like JJ said, fantastic performance from your team from the preseason and tremendous luck going into the rest of the games this year.
Yeah, best of luck, Gabrielle. Thanks for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we get to talk to you throughout the season.
Thank you.
Perfect. 36 seconds remaining here in quarter number 3. A 9-point lead in favor of the Bill Crothers team. Shots up from the corner. That one far and wide. Fighting for it under the basket was Moses Anvari, and now it's kicked back out top to Cabant, who calls it at the expiration of the shot clock. That doesn't drop. And in there causing havoc was Victor Akinyemi.
I'd like to say, apart from the game, we're shooting 4 for 4 in terms of players who are able to communicate.
Batting 1,000.
Right? The strength of not only themselves, but their team, I think is great. It also gives more insight to the people watching at home and watching the live stream on the mental aspect that goes into these players and also the time and dedication it takes. It's not easy for them. They got school, extracurriculars. We have one who has his own clothing brand. We have another who had jobs. I don't know how she was able to work during the summer with all of the training. It's hard. But the fact that they're able to accomplish it and do it well, I think is fantastic.
The third quarter comes to an end. 44-35 is the score at that time. 8 more minutes on the clock. Coming up after this one is the 1:30 tip between Low Ellen Prep versus Jay Addison, the women. We talked to Sydney Scrobot up here earlier, so we'll have we'll get our first look at her for this season. She did a lot of training in the offseason, and what's impressed me the most about each of these players' answers is the selflessness.
Yes.
Right, team first kind of answers, getting others involved, all while trying to push their a scholarship, moving on to the next level. It's difficult to balance those two wants.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny too, because even when we ask very pointed, direct questions about their own personal growth, most of them, if not all, always translated it back to, yes, I want to achieve this, but also to help the team. Very much team-oriented and very much focused on the understanding of if your team wins, we all win, and if we're able to showcase our strength together, it's just going to look a lot better for them as a whole.
So we here are in the second gymnasium at Bill Crothers. 3 gymnasiums in use. Lots of basketball to be played. Again, if you're in the area, you got some time, come on down. It's a great environment, great atmosphere, great basketball as well. But thanks for tuning in on OSBA TV on YouTube. We appreciate it. Again, it's JJ Evison alongside Sydney Holmes all weekend long. We're here until probably 9 o'clock tonight. And as of right now, I think the final tip-off tomorrow is 4:30.
Yes.
But we begin at 9 a.m. yet again. As we get set for the 4th and final quarter of this men's game. Bill Crothers with the first chance at the offensive look to extend their 9-point lead. Clement inside to Miles Hamilton, who finishes the basket, gets the harms, goes to the free throw line for the and one opportunity. A lot of good ball being played down low. Patient ball, fighting through contact. A little bit more physical this game. Unable to convert, the ball's batted around. Coming away with it was Dennis, kicks it ahead. That's Dennis ahead, sorry, ball comes from the hands of Stapleton. Back the other way. Clement into the corner, working baseline now and kicking back out. Miles Hamilton. And second chance opportunity good for Moses Anvari. Another quarter, another interview. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Tell the people who you are.
Hi, I'm Fiona Madigan.
Number 3, Orangeville Prep.
Yes.
We watched your game last night.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
You know, first game jitters. I think, honestly, as a team, we did all right. We were missing a bunch of players, which was difficult, but I think we adapted to the best of our ability, which was good.
As the game went on, we saw the team kind of get more comfortable in rhythm, sharing the ball. But it was quite the competition from start to finish. And you spend the rest of the, do you spend the whole day in the gym or you just come for your games?
We come for our games, but then today we're coming to watch our boys teams play. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of support, I think, especially when we were at Orangeville for the Team Ontario media day and stuff. And it seems like there's constant support from both the boys and the girls when it comes to these types of tournaments,
yeah,
right?
I'd say we're all really close and we all get along and we're all friends, so it's nice to support each other when we're playing.
Nice finish by Hamilton down low on an entry pass, leads up to 11 now.
Kind of a constant question we've been asking everybody is you go from kind of like, not a lax schedule, but it's not as regimented as it is during the regular season where you have multiple practices, you have school, you have social life that people I know try to keep up as well. Is that something that was kind of easy for you to adapt when you started playing in the league, just like how strict the schedule can be and try to not get burnout?
Well, I started playing in the league by commuting from my hometown, so I found it really difficult. But then when I moved, it was so easy for me because it was just like, it felt so much lighter on me because we were driving like 8 hours a night for practices.
Wow.
Where are you from?
North Bay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
North Bay to Orangeville. That's not a It's not a light commute to say the
Not an
least.
easy drive, no.
So the family moved?
No, I just moved.
You
I'm
moved.
living on my own down there now.
On your own?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Man, times have changed. A lot of the returning players, though, for your squad, right? A lot of fresh places, but the Corgale's back and Mackenzie Feynman, I remember her from last year.
No, that's Mackenzie's first year this year on our team.
Right, she went up
Yes.
a level, that's
so
right.
we have 6 returning girls this year, and then last night Cam McMaster wasn't there, So
That's right.
yeah.
And who else were you missing yesterday?
She was the only one we were missing,
Okay.
but 2 girls got injured.
Yeah, I mean, we saw especially 3 girls on Bill Crothers got injured as well, and it's tough in these preseason tournaments to, give it your all when you're kind of waiting for the regular season to make the impact. You want to have that regular season, right?
Well, I just think the physicality of the game is different for some of the newer girls.
Totally.
So it's a learning curve for them.
And were you able to share your experience on kind of making that jump yourself and what kind of helping them navigate those waters?
I'd say so. Yeah, I think that our returning players are really good at helping our girls out, especially in practice. Like, being physical is huge for us. So, like, them getting used to it in practice is huge for them being ready for games.
Another timeout on the floor here. It's 12-point lead, so a little back and forth. 4:47 remaining in the fourth quarter.
In terms of like a summer schedule, what does that kind of look like for you? Is it strictly focused on like basketball as well, or do you find time to kind of separate yourself from it?
I'd say most of I play AAU, but I also do track, so it's kind of divided between my 2 sports, and then I'll practice. It's basically mostly just basketball though.
So kind of leading into my follow-up question after this. So for track, what is kind of like your event that you usually run?
I'm a sprinter and a jumper.
Long or high?
Long and triple.
Triple.
Interesting.
Yes.
I think both kind of lend well
I think they
some
both-
attributes to
yeah.
basketball, right?
Yeah.
So that's another question I have too, is we notice a lot with basketball players too. The hardest part is finding, like they say, finding your lungs and finding like the capacity to push through. It's like almost like a runner's high that you get where you're just at like a time where you're coasting. Has that been an asset for you, kind of being able to train with both sports? And have you noticed that it translates well into you being able to perform at a higher level for longer?
Oh, 100%. I think that like both sports really benefit each other, and so it's awesome. Yeah.
Not a lot of, I mean, now it seems, I mean, growing up, I played multiple sports, and you talk about multiple sports athletes and kind of developing different skills, but I think everybody's now focused on becoming a master kind of one sport, and you spend so much time, working on your game and developing. Do you find that there are moments throughout the season where you kind of like, you approach the game differently, or you sort of fall out of love with it for a bit, or is it constantly like, no, this is kind of what I want to do?
Sometimes I feel a little burned out because you're just doing so much and you're so focused on one thing for so long that when you have that break to like focus on something else that you really like, it's really nice to come back to your other sport and be like, okay, I really do love playing this. And it's not just like, you're not just like continuously on one thing. But that's just personal. Some girls are not the same.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's kind of more of a generalization for life. If you do something so frequently, and then you take that break from it, you come back to it, you have fresh eyes, right? And you get different experiences to help you through that. 11-point lead now, slowly. Polaris Prep starting to pull back on the offensive here. I know the the Orangeville boys are tipping off at 1:30, so we still got you for a couple more minutes here, probably the rest of this game. That shot's up and good, a 3 from Jaden Stapleton.
We know that this is a lot of trial and error for most teams because they haven't really been able to implement it with many games. Obviously, this is kind of more getting ready for the regular season. Was there something that coach was really telling you guys that he wanted you to work on this weekend to hopefully translate it into the regular season?
Be a dog.
Yeah.
Great advice from head coach Greg Firth.
So speaking of like that dog mentality, which is funny because it's a lot, it's so simple to think about, but it says so much. How are you able to really implement that every time you go out on the court?
I think when I think about being a dog in my personal game, it's the defensive aspect of it. Like really locking in on that player and then locking in when you're in help and everything, and just being really loud on the court is huge. Just for like the mentality, and it gets you really into like when your defense is really good on the court, your offense is going to come with it. That's just the reality. So
we see at the the top level of basketball, there is a big difference between the men's and the women's game. Do you notice those differences here, kind of at this level, at the high school level?
100%. I mean, obviously, like there's the really like physical aspect of it. Like they're bigger, they're more athletic than us. But I find that I prefer watching women's basketball because like the movement of the ball and things like that, I think is like so much. I personally think that better. But like, yeah, I think there's a really big difference between the girls and the boys games.
Yeah, I think it is. You pointed out, it comes down to the textbook. Like the way that basketball was intended to work. You move the ball, then you move, and there's lots of systems in place. And sometimes the men's game gets stuck with those one-on-one isolation matchups. Can I send everybody out to the side or down low and just work on the whatever mismatch there is? So do you follow the WNBA?
I follow, yes. I prefer college,
Okay.
like the NCAA, but I'll watch a little bit of WNBA sometimes.
I mean, they're in their Final Four now, so I mean, there's no better time to probably watch the WNBA than, you know, the best going against the best. Who's your favorite college player?
I like Juju Watkins. I like Flau'jae Jones.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
She's probably my favorite. I like the way she plays. I like that she's a rapper.
Well, so if all goes according to plan, Juju Watkins has the potential to be the first overall pick next season in Toronto's inaugural season. She might be playing here in Toronto. Wouldn't that be something if
Wouldn't that be great?
you get to go watch her maybe live when they start in 26? Unless you're off somewhere else, you know, playing hoops, or getting your name in that draft at some point. Deep three off the side there, as it is now a 7-point lead. A steal and a foul will send Polaris back to the free throw line. Joshua Stevens with the chance to cut this lead to 5. Some confusion on the floor. A pair of substitutions come in, 2:38 remaining. Calm, composed, first shot's good. And this might just be a game coming down to the wire.
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of the play styles we've been seeing from both sides today has been really falling back onto the playmaking ability and relying on the play and how effective it actually can be. We saw Bill Carruthers really relied on a lot of the solo drives in the first half, but it's honestly allowed Polaris Prep to kind of get back into this game.
In a game like this, you're stuck 5. Let's say you're on the team down 5, 2:35 remaining. What do you find changes in terms of communication and expectations from the 5 on the floor?
Honestly, like, on my team in particular, I feel like we like to slow the ball down and really move it. And I feel like our communication really improves because of, like, our really good guard play, Ayla. She's really good at in pressure situations to control the tempo of the game, which is great. Yeah, I think.
Bill Carruthers turns it over. So Polaris Prep now able to make it a 1-possession game with a 3, but chip away at the lead with a 2. Corner 3, that's a tough shot. The closeout coming in pretty quick. Time winding down, 1:57. And then you send your opponent to the free throw line. Sylvan, good on the first. The second's up, also good. And there will be a substitution as we see Joshua Stevens check in and Miles Hamilton heads to the bench, so size for size. If you see something and you want to analyze it, definitely get in on this call. Right now we're spreading out to the weak side. Stapleton, baseline, kicks it out. Shots up off the near iron. Weber can't convert. Lots of time and space on the far side for Sylvan. They're leaving him a lot of space as he gets in and pulls up the jumper from the mid-range, no good. Ball corralled by Polaris Prep. It's 3-on-2. Nice Euro step using the backboard. Sahil Rizwan, 5-point game, 1:22 remaining. The other way, coughed up in a very quick offensive possession. Here's Rizwan again. No chance that time, and fouled on the second chance opportunity. And how about Polaris Prep here? Really making an effort to get back into this one. Playing with speed, playing with confidence. Sahil Rizwan with a beautiful Euro step. Tries to get contact on the second one, doesn't get the call. You can't play for the calls, can you?
Well, switching the mindset a little bit, if you were the coach, would you continue to tell Polaris Prep to just continuously drive it to the net, or would you tell them to maybe fall back a bit on their playmaking and try to run a full rotation?
I'd probably say if it's open, like if they're getting that rebound and they can push it, push it.
Yeah.
Push it. But if you're in a half-court game then slow it down, run your sets, get a good shot off, make sure that the other team can't get that board.
Second free throw, no good. 4-point game. Turning the corner, Cabant into the lane. Bounce pass to the baseline. Knocked loose. But it looks like Bill Crothers will maintain possession as we are now under a minute remaining. Fiona Madigan joining us here in the broadcast booth from Orangeville Prep, giving a little analysis and coaching. We appreciate it. Way up top, Sylvan collects the inbound pass. Gonna slow things down, 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Around the first level of defense, spin move, kicks it back out, shot is up and well off the mark from Liam Shaw. Out of bounds, and we've got a pair of substitutions coming in. Tyson scratched that. Kadar Walton to the bench.
Maybe this is just me too. I know the shot was open. I maybe would have swung it.
Don't take that
Right?
shot.
Like, I mean, the score, we're kind of up already. I would just rotate the ball.
There's still like 10 seconds on that shot clock. You want to use those
Yeah.
seconds up.
Here's Stapleton over the timeline, moving downhill. That's going to be a travel. He picked up the ball too early. I thought it might have been a bobble. Low side ref saw it as a travel, and that's a tough call to make this late in the game. 4-point game, 36.3 on the clock.
That determines the game right there, maybe.
I mean, you'd have to think you got to use the entirety of the shot clock, and maybe if your coach is fouling an option at any point here, I mean, I guess they're not even close to the bonus,
so.
but
Good G.
yeah, way to move his feet. Sahil Rizwan. Kick back out.
Don't shoot that.
No good.
See, good call though, right?
we-
Like, keep the ball when you have the lead.
Lots of contact, no call made. Second chance opportunity, Polaris Prep, no. Ball is bobbled around, going up. That time, the contact is called, and Anthony Weber will head to the free throw line. 10 seconds left in the game. It's a 4-point game. Free throws, very important, right? You don't want to win or lose a game on free throws. How many free throws do you shoot out of practice?
I'm going to say like 100. We
Yeah.
shoot like 20 in between every single drill. We shoot a lot.
And are you the type of player who gets to practice beforehand, gets extra shots up, stays a little bit later?
Later, yeah. Before, we kind of get there right from school.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
practice starts at 3:30 every day.
Anthony, where you don't have any morning runs? They don't get you up at 6 a.m.?
We do once a week, every
No.
week. But the boys have it every single day. So
That's tough. Weber 2 for 2. It's a 2-point game. 10 seconds on the clock. Polaris Prep need a steal. Hamilton gets fouled by Weber. So still a few away from the bonus. I don't know if you know this, but in this tournament, 7 fouls get you to the bonus. It's
Oh,
the 7th foul.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good foul to give.
He still got 2 more. So, I mean, I guess 3 more. So I would still use them, right? If you're Bill Crothers, you're just going to start winding the clock down second by second. Obviously, you don't want an errant pass here.
Yeah.
There's another foul. So let me ask you this. We just saw one of the players guarding the inbounder. When you're down by,
You want to double that.
like, there's only one player in the backcourt.
Agreed.
Okay, good. I thought I had something. there.
I
Thank
think
you.
so. I will also say the only
Here we
reason
go. Now we see it.
that
There's
it's
no one guarding.
this close, Bill Crothers shouldn't have been shooting when they had those 2 opportunities.
No.
Another foul there. 7 seconds left. The next foul sends Bill Crothers to the line. Pick your poison. Tyson Sylvan or Bieva Cabant. And they're going to give it to Cabant, who's promptly fouled by Stapleton. So still a good amount of time, you know, on a missed free throw or a baseline inbound to get down the court and get a shot up. Just got to hope for one missed here. A lot of pressure, a lot of eyes on the free throw shooter. And the first is off the mark. And I'll take that. We'll say that's a broadcaster's jinx on that one.
It usually always happens. Every time we call it to go in, it usually doesn't.
The second is good. 3-point game. A pair of substitutions getting some shooters on the court is George Babich, head coach of the Polaris Prep team. Baseline out of bounds. 6 seconds. Here we go. Rizwan, the speedy, shifty guard up the court, into the hands. What a block, well timed. Second chance opportunity is too strong. And what a block by Bieva Cabant at the final shot attempt from the hands of Jaden Stapleton. That's a beautiful game right to the last possession, and that's what you love to see, a good defensive hustle. Fiona, we want to thank you for coming and joining us. We know you got to go support the boys over there on a different court. We appreciate the time. Best of luck this season.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Stick around. We've got more action coming from Bill Crothers Secondary School 2024 OSBA Fall Showcase. Stick with us.